I'm ready.
And then go.
So my name is Claire Sudbury. I'm a software engineer and I'm also a novelist. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is my son Oscar, who is going to be my model for the next 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Here he is modelling how difficult it is to write a novel. And I'm here to tell you it is. It's really hard. My first novel, The Dying of Delight, was published in 2004. I started writing it at the turn of the century. It took 4 years to write, and it was really hard. One of the reasons it was really hard was because I kept losing track of what was supposed to be happening and what was going on in the plot and what character was doing what. My second novel was published in Germany, in German, and was also took me 4 years to write, and was also really hard to write. Partly because I kept changing my mind about what it was about. So at one point this was about nuns on the run from God. There are no nuns and no God in this book anymore. As I say, I kept changing my mind, I kept losing track. But it was published, I was happy. So I gave up my career in IT, I stopped being a software engineer, I became a full-time writer. I didn't manage to get a UK deal for that second book, so I self-published. So this is the self-published version of the second novel, but in English, so that people could read it. But it was hard being a writer. So I thought, right, I'm not a writer, I'm not a software engineer, I'm a teacher. And I retrained as a high school maths teacher, which also didn't go terribly well. I couldn't persuade stroppy teenagers that maths was fun. They refused to agree with me on that one. So, never mind. What I did do was come running back into the arms of IT, which I really enjoyed. And the benefit was that I realised that I actually really do enjoy being a software engineer. And I had a wonderful time. I have a wonderful time. I really do like being a software engineer. But you know, I'm also a novelist, aren't I? So I thought, right, okay, I still would like to write another novel, and I took a week off work and I stayed in this cottage in the Lake District. But I mean, of course I did. Look at its face. It's like a happy little puppy that wants to come and play with you. So of course I stayed there, and I started to write another novel. And I got as far as 6,000 words, and then I got stuck, and I couldn't write anymore. But I got an email from an agent about an IT client that wanted me to start a new contract. But in order for me to do that, I had to do an online coding exercise. And suddenly I was happy because I love writing code. But aren't I supposed to be a writer? Am I a writer? Am I a software engineer? Do I just not enjoy writing novels anymore? Is this what it is? Is all my creative energy is now going into writing software? I was confused, I was frustrated, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life anymore. But at this point, I had discovered test-driven development, and I had this fantastic idea. Can't I write novels using test-driven development? All of those problems that I had with plot, where I lost track of my characters, I lost track of what was going on, can I not use tests to drive a novel? Can I not make assertions about what should happen in a novel? So you have to appreciate this, because this took me a really long time. You have to notice that that word in the middle is not the word that is normally on the cover of this book. And I went down to individual pixels to get that word there, and it's okay, I checked it with Steve this week, he's fine with it. So now I'm writing object-oriented novels. But how? How am I going to do that? At this point, it's just an idea. I haven't actually done anything. Am I going to use natural language processing? Well, maybe, but I know nothing about natural language processing. Machine learning? I don't know anything about that either. But I thought, okay, still it's a good idea. And so when I was asked to do a lightning talk, I said, yes, I will do a lightning talk on the topic of test-driven development. And this is actually the amazing publicity that XP Manchester put out for their series of lightning talks. The reason Oscar looks so angry here is that my name is spelt wrong. But I agreed to do a lightning talk, which meant that I now needed to have something to talk about. So I actually did start writing some software. I started trying to create a test-driven novel framework. I didn't know how to do it, but I thought, it's test-driven, I'll just write a test. I'll make it fail, and then I'll make it pass. So my first test was that the protagonist should change state during chapter 1. Now, that actually makes some sense if you know about this book. Kevin and I did not, if any of you people here were in Kevin's talk this afternoon, he used the very same cover of the very same book as one of his slides, and he and I have had conversations, but we didn't know we were both going to do that. The ideas that Robert McKee outlines is that you can actually structure a novel, you can structure a story by saying things like, protagonists should change state, things should move forward, things should happen in order for you to be able to engage your reader. So the second test that I wrote was that the protagonist should change state during all the chapters. Now, that sounds great, but how did I make these tests pass? I made them pass the same way I would do any kind of test during development. I created a class. My class was called Stuck on a Train, which is the title of the novel. I then implemented the class in such a way that I could interrogate it about its protagonist, and I could interrogate the protagonist to find out what state it was in. And I only had to make the test pass, so initially I was just using Booleans. And I thought, I'm actually getting somewhere here now. I can make assertions about my novel. I can say that it should start with a crisis. I can say that things should happen during the chapters. I can start going into some detail, and if I break my plot, my tests will start to fail. I'm getting somewhere. And all I need to do is make this a console app. I can have some simple console output, which is actually telling you what's happening during this novel. So, at the start of chapter 1, the main character, Aloysius, is sad. This is Oscar being sad. And I can state that there is going to be a crisis at the beginning of the novel. This is all working now. I have an idea. My idea is that I can create a plotting tool. So this is what I realized, this is what I discovered in the process of doing a test-driven development, that I am creating a plotting tool that will allow me to write a consistent novel that I can feel confident about.